Good morning, everybody. This is Gayle, and welcome to my Friday Frolics. Can you believe this is the end of June? I mean, I don't feel like I've done anything this summer, and the summer is, I know calendar-wise, it just started a couple weeks ago, but when you think that the kids go back to school either in late August or early September, the summer is going by so fast. So anyway, this is the last Friday Frolics of June. And I told you last week that I would like to have some questions and answers, or Q&A session. And I have a few questions. I went back, 3 months looking at comments and came up with a few questions that people had asked. And I'll get to those towards the end. I made a list this time, so I have an idea of what I want to talk about. If you saw my video that I did the other day, it was just a short little quick one showing me opening my RJ Crafts box. And I can't wait to start playing with them. That's what my plan for the weekend is, to play with those some and come up with a wonderful tutorial. Speaking of tutorials, I have done quilt block number 3, and it's been edited, but it hasn't been uploaded to YouTube yet, but it's all ready to be uploaded. So I'll get that done today. So you'll have your quilt block for Monday. And I already know what I want to do the next week, which is a non-quilt block session. So it's going to be an interesting couple of weeks. I've got a lot that I want to do and not enough time to do it. Isn't that terrible? And I want to apologize. I know that I'm always talking about my hair, but when I do my Friday Frolics, I do it in the morning so that I can go ahead and get it done, and then I can go about the rest of my day doing what I need to do. And with my hair like this, it's not blown dry. It has to dry on its own, and I put a little bit of gel on it to, help it stick up a little bit. I have no body to my hair. But in doing that, my hair is still usually wet when I start doing this. It's not quite wet. It's still damp, though, so I can't run a comb or a brush through it. So unfortunately, you have to look at me with semi-wet hair. It's not wet, but it's still damp. And I meant to explain that to you last week, and then I just didn't. But anyway, let me see. I wanted to call attention to my paper crafting website or channel. I haven't uploaded a lot to it because I haven't been doing any videos, mainly because the paper crafting I've been doing have been from RG Studio 360, which are paid tutorials. And I can't really do a tutorial on one that's a paid tutorial from Richard. So, I haven't been uploading a lot onto that page. Now that I'm not a Fun Stampers Journey coach, I just don't get a chance to do my paper crafting as much as I'd like to. But I'm going to start trying to be very disciplined and have one day a week that's clay and one day a week that's paper. And then the rest is just finishing up what I didn't get finished those 2 days. So just wanted to let you know, if you're interested in any paper crafts, I don't know how many tutorials I've uploaded. It's not a whole lot, but at one point I was taking them off of this channel and moving them over to my paper crafting channel. Some of it is Fun Stampers Journey. Some of it is just paper crafting that I've done. So if you get a chance, at the end of this video and at the end of all my videos, there's a icon that pops up that is there's 2 pictures of me. And one of them is this channel. It's a subscribe button to this channel, and the other one is a subscribe button to my other channel, or it will at least take you to my other channel if you can choose to subscribe or not. But because I'm not active on that channel, I'm having a hard time getting my views up so that I can use the YouTube a little bit more efficiently for me. There's a lot of bells and whistles in YouTube that you have to have so many followers, so many likes, and so much time that people viewing time. And I'm nowhere near that on my other channel. So that's another reason I didn't put a lot into it, because, it's a lot of time, and there's really nothing special that I can do yet. But if you get a chance, I might take the picture of me off that's for this channel, because you're already on this channel. You don't need to do that. I would just ask that if you're watching, please subscribe. It does help. I have over 7,200 subscribers, which is awesome. Thank you guys. And but please subscribe. It just, I know it's a numbers thing, but it really inspires me when I see new people subscribing. It makes me feel good. So there's my paper crafting. I did want to mention that. Back to the RJ Crafts. There are some people that made comments about how awesome the things were that I have. And she's got some amazing cutters. I mean, the cutters are such unusual shapes. And, I really like them a lot. One of the cutters that I got was a necklace cutter. And it's two different shapes, and two shapes fit together. So if you alternate those, you can make a gorgeous necklace. So I can't wait to come up with, the next time I have just the right sheet of colors or whatever, I'm going to use that and make a necklace out of it. That was funny. Speaking of necklaces, I know I've been promising for 6 months now that I was going to have a D-stash. And to be perfectly honest, I got a little overwhelmed because I have got so much stuff. So I'm going to probably start getting rid of some of my play things. Some of them not so great. Some of them are, okay. I don't claim to be, great on finished jewelry. I'm not a jeweler. I don't wear a lot of jewelry. I have this, I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's a Celtic symbol. It's a Trinity symbol with a heart in it. And the heart has little bitty diamonds in it. My sister gave it to me. I wear this all the time. You can see Dick's walking in and out. I think he needs to go outside. And let me do that. Let me go ahead and let him out, and I will be back in just a minute. Okay, sorry about that, but when you gotta go, you gotta go. Poor guy. He usually doesn't get up this time of morning to go outside, so that's why I felt like I really needed to let him out. So, and you'll probably see him walk back through here in a little while. He came back in and had some water, and he's eating a little bit, and he's going to be walking back in here pretty soon. But anyway, back to what I was saying. My sister gave me this necklace, and I pretty much wear this all the time. And I don't wear a lot of jewelry other than this. This is it, and a watch or a Fitbit, whichever I have on at the time. And, but what I thought I would do, I've accumulated so many pendants and pins and just beads in general that I think I'm going to start by doing small D-stashes. I think I'm going to do one pretty soon on just pendants that I've made. And they're going to be priced pretty cheap, but I would ask that you pay the shipping. I learned on eBay, I've got one, there are people that order over and over and over and over, and I'm paying the shipping. If they would order it all at one time, I'd only have to pay once, but that's okay. That's the way they want to do it. Maybe they're like me and they have to spread their spending out. But anyway, but I think I'll do that, and then I'll break it down. Maybe I'll do one with bracelets that I've made. Maybe do one with just regular cabochons and beads that I've made, and divide it up. And that might be easier just to handle it a little at a time, because you would not believe the things that I have put aside to go into a D-stash. It's just unreal. But anyway, I know I keep wandering. I usually don't have enough to talk about, and today I've got so many things. But I mentioned the RJ Crafts, and if you looked at my box opening, which I hope you did, and if you haven't, please do, because you get a chance to see, her products. And I've ordered a signature stamp. She does signature stamp. She does one for initials, and she does one for a little signature. So I got one that says GOT Clay, which is kind of my trade as far as my name. GOT are my initials. And back when the Got Milk thing became popular, I thought, well, I could do Got Clay. So a lot of things I did were GOT Clay. So I'm having that done. It's in the mail. I should get it tomorrow, so I'll be able to show it to you next week. But she has those, and they're very reasonable. But I wanted to let you know, if you go onto the site, and the link is always below in my description, if you go on her site and sign up for the newsletter, you will get an email with a coupon in it that is 10% off or 15% off. I think it's 10% off your next order. So, even though her prices are very reasonable, it helps to have that 10% off sometimes. So go ahead and do that and get your coupon code. And you may not ever order anything, and that's fine. But this is going to be, quite an experience for me. So please, at least sign up for the newsletter. My Amazon page is a little more organized now. I found that as I added items to it, everything gets lost. And it's really hard to organize and move, like items together. I did it at the very beginning, but you literally have to, if you can picture all the items that are in my Amazon page in a long list. And then you have to click on one and move it down to where you want it. And if it's not, usually you've only got 4 or 5 items on that page, and you want to move it down several other pages. It was just a nightmare. So they've come up with a different way of organizing. So if you check out my Amazon page, you'll see that there's some better ways of finding things. I've tried to group everything as much as I can, and hopefully it'll make it easier for you to find things. So let me see. I think that is it as far as my Frolics. I did tell you, I think that I've already done the quilt block number 3. I don't have a name for it because I have no idea what it's called. It's another one of those where I saw the picture. I was doing searches for quilt blocks, and some of them are gorgeous, but they're a little too complicated for me to do in polymer clay. So I'm trying to stick to the simpler ones. And I do have 2 requests left. I've done 3. I want to do 2 more. I've got 2 requests, and I'm going to try to get those done. So we'll see how that works. So stay tuned. The quilts are going to end up really being cute. But I don't know the name of the one that I'm posting on Monday. But maybe somebody out there will know, and you can tell me. So let's go back to the questions and answers. I just wrote them down on a card, so I'm just going to read them here. I had someone ask me what was my favorite and my least favorite technique in polymer clay. Well, I think my favorite technique is, first off, is making canes, but I like making the retro canes in black and white. I don't know why I like them in black and white. I think I named my video on that, my favorite cane, my favorite retro cane. But I love that cane, and it just looks so neat. I've made earrings and all kinds of things out of it, and I really, really, really like that technique, is the black and white retro. The thing that I hate, my least favorite technique is adding paint or alcohol inks to clay. Let me go back to the clay. the paint. I can't, there's so many different colors of polymer clay. And I've seen so many people that make something out of like white clay and then turn around and paint it. When I feel like you need to make those parts out of clay. I guess that makes me a purist. If you're going to make polymer clay art, make it polymer clay art, is in my opinion. And if you don't agree, that's fine. Everybody is, and believe it or not, it is okay to disagree with someone and not hate them. This world has gotten so crazy that if you disagree, you start shooting people up, and it's just nuts, or bullying them or something. But we might disagree, and that's okay. You're welcome to your opinion. But I just feel like paint on polymer clay takes away from the art of the clay. So, like I said, just my opinion. Alcohol inks, I just don't like them because they're messy. Other than that, I don't mind getting messy with things because I have a hard time working with gloves. I've tried the finger cuts. Those don't seem to work for me either. They hurt too much. They don't go on easily, and then I've even gotten the large ones and they still are too tight. So, but alcohol inks, they do serve a purpose. If you want to make something that is you want it to be translucent, so you use your translucent clay and tint it with some alcohol inks. It keeps that translucent look and yet adds a little bit of color. But I very seldom do anything like that, so my least favorite, I guess, would be the alcohol inks after the paint. Alcohol inks would be my least favorite. Someone asked me, how do I estimate the amount of clay I need for a project? And I am so challenged. Excuse me. I am so challenged in that department. I can't tell you how many times I'll cut off what I think is enough clay and start putting things together, and I need more. And it's really frustrating when I'm making a cane because you take a little bit of this color and a little bit of this color and a little bit of this color, but what is it when it's all added up together? And how much do I need to cover a base? So I've got a gorgeous translucent cane, and if I'd thought about it, I would have brought it in here, but it's in the other room, that I did using Teresa Pandora's Salgado's translucent cane made easy, or easy translucent cane, or something like that. I love it. It is so gorgeous. And, I really should have brought it in here. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to stop the camera and go get it. Hold on. I'll be right back. Okay. Sorry. But what she did was Teresa did, and I'll put a link to that tutorial down here. She did a video on it. It's really, you kind of do your own thing. And even though I tried following what she did, mine turned out so totally different. So obviously mine wasn't the same as hers. But it's mainly translucent. And here is the cane. Can you see that? And this is translucent. And then I wrapped it in a very, very thin sheet of white, so it would only just be a separation between the colors. And then what you see in there as far as a color is the rose gold glitter. And I took about a 1-inch translucent log, wrapped it in maybe a number 7 sheet of white, and then I rolled, which is very, very thin. And then I wrapped it in a number 1, which is the thickest setting, in the rose gold glitter. And then I used her techniques to make it. But what she does with this is fine just like this. And I'm going to take this. I've got some slices already sliced off of it. And I'm going to take it and I'm going to cover something that I would put a candle in. And I'm not sure what I want to use yet. I don't have anything. And I may have to go to Dollar Tree. Darn. I might have to go to Dollar Tree and get something to cover with these slices. But let me show you the neatest thing. And this is totally unfinished. But you remember the mud cloth that I did. And I cut a piece out of that. Well, actually, what I did first is I took thin slices of this cane and put it over top of this, because what she's doing is adding this translucent over old veneers or cane slices or whatever, and it totally changes it. You would never know that this could turn into this, and it would be even better once it's sanded a little bit and buffed. And then I took another one, and the reason I'm doing all this, I told you I was trying to learn something for myself. And I've been doing Dan Cormier's Building Better Beads class. And I've known Dan for a while, and he's an awesome person. He's got wonderful talent, and he's just a wonderful guy. And but you remember the drag technique that I showed you when I dragged something through the different color striped clay, and it made sort of a, I don't know what it was, like a feathery look. Well, I needed to have a veneer to use for this class. So what I did is I took that and I added the translucent on top of that, and look at that. And I don't know if I can get it, see the shine. I used Teresa's brush on resin on it. But would you believe that that was that drag technique, and I just added this the translucent cane over top of it, and you can still see through it. It's muted the colors, which is fine, but I'm just having so much fun. But I have taken time out for me. But back to using how much clay to use. Luckily, Teresa's tutorial gave almost exact, like the translucent was a full 2-ounce pack of translucent. Of course, I use the big blocks. So, but I have a food scale that I keep in my craft room, and I keep it in there because if I need 2 ounces of clay, I slice it off the big block and put it in there until I get to 2 ounces. So I could tell by her tutorial how large a cane I would have left over at the end. So that helped. But I really struggle with, I guess because I'm frugal, which is a nice word for cheap, because of my budget, I try to use the least amount of clay as possible because I don't like to condition a 2-ounce block of clay and only need a small piece. So I'd rather just condition a little bit of it. But unfortunately, when I do that, sometimes I don't have enough, and it makes it a little bit harder. I probably ought to be a little bit more generous in my portions. I would rather have too much clay, especially if you're mixing a color or doing a Skinner blend. I would rather have too much than not enough, because you'll never be able to replicate what you did when you blended, or whatever. So I don't have a way of telling you how to estimate the amount of clay that you need for a project. I'm really sorry on that. I think I've mentioned that, but I am challenged in that department myself. Someone else asked me how they could make a donation to my art without going into Patreon or whatever. And they don't like putting their information online, which I perfectly understand. There are other ways that you can make donations. I've got a GoFundMe account. Again, if you don't like putting your stuff out there, you might not like that either. There is a PayPal donation button where you can go in and you can donate to me at this this email, which is LUV2, the number 2, clay@gmail.com. It's love to clay. And, you could do that, but there is a fee that comes out. So if you send me, say, $5, they might take out $1.50 in fees. Another way you can donate and not have to make, and make sure that I get everything you donate is to use the PayPal friends and family. If you go into PayPal, at first you have to have a PayPal account, and it's only no fee if you either have a balance in there or you have it linked to your checking account, which I do because I move money back and forth from PayPal to my checking account all the time. So it's linked. So in that case, I could send something to you, PayPal friends and family. It wouldn't cost either one of us anything. But if you don't have an account, or if you don't have your bank account linked and you don't have a balance and you choose to use a credit card with PayPal, then there is a fee to the one sending the money. So I would not get the fee, but you might have to pay a fee. And it's because, PayPal is just like every other company. If you use a credit card, the credit card company charges you a fee to use it. So most of the time it's like 3%. I'm not sure exactly. But, excuse me. But those are some ways that you can donate. If you'd rather not do any of those, I don't mind sharing my address. Hold on a second. I don't mind sharing my address if you'd rather mail a check or something. It's not quite as easy for me when you mail a check because I have to make a trip to the bank. But that's okay. If you would rather do that, that's fine. But I've had a couple of people ask me the best way to donate without doing a monthly donation, which is what Patreon is. If you want to do monthly, that's fine. I've got some wonderful supporters on Patreon, and they're the ones that really get me through from month to month because I know that money's going to be there. Everything else is kind of, on the fly, so it's just whatever comes. I'm really grateful for, but I can't depend on it from month to month because it's a one-time donation. But I would appreciate any donation. Everybody knows I'm 72 years old. I'm retired. I'm on a fixed income, and it's not easy. It's just not easy. The Born Pretty glitters, or the Born Pretty micas. Just wanted to let you know. I did a video where I did a sample for each bottle because each bottle, the color looks almost white and it's hard to tell what the color is. So I did little circles that are half white clay and half black clay and applied them to those and put them on the tops of the jars. Well, as gorgeous as those colors were like chrome type colors. They were shiny, smooth colors. I got some that are glitters, and they're gorgeous. I did the same thing. I made little samples to put on the tops of the bottles. But I also had these little storage boxes that I put them in. I had a couple of people ask me about those. Those are just called craft storage boxes. I got them at Dollar Tree. They're usually over in the craft section, and they're just a little box about that big, and it's got dividers in it, and it holds them just perfectly. So if you're having little small jars or anything that you like to store in, I usually take the tops off because, except for these, I left the tops on these because I've got two of them, and I'll stack them up in my supply cabinet. But when they sit in a drawer, I take the top off and just set the top underneath the box, and that way it's there if I need it, but they're just there and they don't slide around. I really like it, but they were just $1. I believe they're even made by Jot, which is the Dollar Tree brand. So I hope, if anybody wanted one, that you found that. And while we're talking about that, I get so many people say, where did you get this? And where did you get that? And I've got my Amazon influencer page. And when they offered that to me, which I was tickled to death that they contacted me and asked me if I'd like to have one. I added items that I use on a regular basis. You know, that was the beginning of my store. And then as I do tutorials and use items, I add them to my Amazon store. So in the Amazon store, it's not me. I'm not selling these items. You're still ordering through Amazon. You're just getting to the items through me, and I earn a very small commission. I mean, it is very small, but it's something. And but whenever I use something in a tutorial, I put it into my Amazon store. So next time, if you see me use something, if it's something I only use one time or it's not available on Amazon, I will put the link in my description, but always look in the description. If you look there and it's not there, check my Amazon store. If it's not there, then you can contact me. But just about everything I use is in my Amazon shop. So, you know, please check there. And this came up yesterday. Someone was checking my wish list. That's another way you can support me, is to get me things off of my Amazon wish list. But she said that somebody else had a cheaper price on clay than what Amazon was offering, and I ended up giving her my address. I don't know what's coming. It's going to be interesting. I'll be, you know, kind of curious to see what comes. But and that happens. But you know, like there are other places like Polyclay Play. She has clay. SculpeyProducts.com has clay. What is the other one? I can't think. There's another one, but they, you know, their prices might be lower, and that's fine. But I have my Amazon wish list can only have Amazon items on it. So if you see something somewhere else that would save you some money and you'd like to send that to me, just let me know, and I'll send you my address. Again, I don't mind sharing that. Someone else asked me about how do I clean my workspace, or how do I clean my tools? And I keep baby wipes and alcohol at my work table all the time. And depending on what I'm cleaning, if it's a lot of clay, I usually tend to use the alcohol. I've got it in a spray bottle, and I've also got the regular bottle. But I will spray, like my tile, the glass that I work on, I'll spray it with alcohol. Just take a paper towel and wipe it off, and it gets all the clay residue off and everything. And I usually do the same thing with my tools. I usually spray them with alcohol and wipe them off with a paper towel. Sometimes, and this was called to my attention when I was showing the bracelet that I did with the Born Pretty mica powder. I had gotten some gold glitter or gold powder on my black clay, and I was wiping it off with a Q-tip dipped in alcohol. And this girl said that when she does that, it makes more of a mess than it helps. And what she does is takes a baby wipe. And I have done that. I don't know why I didn't think about it, but I've done that. Years ago I did that. But it's just something I haven't done in a while, and I just forgot. So, you know, but yeah, that's a great thing to use your baby wipes for. If you get a powder or something on your clay, you can just take it and put it on your finger and just go around where you want to take something off, and that'll take it off too. Just make sure it's an alcohol-free baby wipe. Another one was this my little sander that I made out of my spin brush. I'm finding that the spin brush it doesn't spin anymore. The one I've got goes around in a circle. What they do now is they do this thing, and that might still work, but there's fewer and fewer of those available. And but what I did, it's usually got the round spin head at the top of the toothbrush, and then at the bottom it's got some that are permanently there. And I take a pair of pliers and I pull those out because I don't need the ones that are there that don't move. So I pull all those out, and then I cut little circles out of sandpaper. I just use a punch and cut circles out of sandpaper and then hot glue them onto the spin brush. Now that's the way I did mine, which was, oh, I don't know, 6, 7 years ago. It was either right before or right after I moved to Richmond. Well, since then, I've had other people that have, given me tips. So another possibility, so that you don't have to keep hot gluing everything, is to take Velcro dots. Hot glue one side of the Velcro dot onto the bristles of the spin brush. And then you can just put the other side on the back of your sandpaper, and you can just peel that off and put another one in, and you don't have to change heads, which I was having to change heads with every sandpaper type. And that sounds like it would work a lot better. So if you've got a spin brush, got an old spin brush, give that a try. But I also was in the shower about a month ago, and I don't know about you, but I just love my shower. I just have, it's just so nice, and I pamper myself. And I've had this Olay facial cleansing brush, and it spins. And I have since, that's still in my shower, but in the meantime, I got a larger brush that spins about this big. That was a as seen on TV type thing. I think it's made by the same people that do the, what is it called? Pet egg, But it's for your body, but I use that on my face. It's bigger, it covers more space, so I go ahead and I use that. So my little one was there, and I just all of a sudden it hit me. That's got a bigger head on it. It's about this big as opposed to the spin brush, which is this big. I could get those, and you could still get replacement heads for those. Or I could do the same technique with Velcro dots. So I'm going to try that one day when I think to get it out of the shower. It's still in the tub. But anyway, that's another thing you can get to help you sand. I wouldn't pay a lot of money for some of these sanders that are out there. I'm seeing good and bad reviews on some of the sanders. So I wouldn't, if it were me, I wouldn't spend my money on it when I could do something like that myself. Again, blame that on me being cheap. And another person asked me, I've had several people ask me about the different Lucy Clay tools. And I will give you my honest opinions, and they probably won't match yours. I did invest in the Lucy Clay slicer. And I got that, and it's big. I mean, it sits up tall. It takes up some space on my work table, so I have to move it somewhere else in order to use it. But I am very challenged again. I have a lot of challenges, don't I? I'm very challenged with slicing even slices of a cane. So with the Lucy extruder, with the Lucy slicer, I can do that in no time. It's perfect. I love it. So that I really care a lot about. I also have the Lucy extruder, but I've got the small one. And my only regret is that I didn't get the larger one, because the small tube is usually not big enough for what I want to do if I'm going to do any quantity. But I got it because it came with the attachment to hook onto a drill. And I just keep my drill, instead of keeping it in the toolbox or in my tool area, I just keep it in my craft room. And when I want to use it to extrude, especially if I'm doing a lot of extruding, again, which makes it more difficult because the tube is small. And I know they have an adapter. I can buy the longer tube. I just haven't. It's another extravagance that I haven't allowed myself to buy. But I really, really, really like that, and it's durable. I have the Makins extruder, and I use that the majority of the time. But I have to tell you, this is my third Makins extruder. If you use them for very long, they eventually either the screw-on things will strip, or the plunger will break or something. I've had two that broke. One was the very first one they came out with, and they acknowledged that they had some engineering problems. And so then they had a second one. And, now and I haven't, like I said, this is my third one, and I haven't had any issues with it, and I use it a lot. And the same dies that you use on your Makins extruder will be you can use on your Lucy extruder. You can use them on your Walnut Hill extruder. They all use the same size dies. So whichever one you've got is fine. They're all good. I do like the Lucy clay for bigger things. And being made of steel, it's not going to break. Nothing's going to break on that machine. And then the Lucy clay roller. Now, I bought the Elephant, I believe. It was the smaller one because of this. I already had room taken up for my slicer, and then they come out with these huge rollers, machines. And I went ahead, and this was back before I got poor. I went ahead and ordered the Elephant, which is the smaller of the two. I put it up. When it got here, I put it together, and I changed thicknesses with the clays that the projects I make. I'm constantly changing the thickness from one, like I'll go from the thickest to the which is a 0 to a number 3 to a number 7 to a number 5. I'm always flipping around. And for me, it was just too time consuming and too complicated to change the thicknesses as many times as I change it. Whereas on my Atlas, I just turn a little knob and it's changed. So I ended up selling that. People that do a lot of conditioning and a lot of bulk projects, one of the reasons I got it is because I wanted something that would give me thicker clay than what you can get in a pasta machine without having to put two layers together. And it was wider. At the time, I was making portrait size, well, I say portrait size, 8x10 portraits out of clay of greyhounds. And I've got one of my dogs that I love, and it won first place at the Virginia State Fair a couple years ago. And I wanted something that was larger so I wouldn't have to try to repair a seam in the middle. And so it sounded great. I could have wider sheets. If I wanted a thicker sheet, I could have a thicker sheet. It just seemed like it was the perfect thing. And if you do that kind of work, it's fine. But for the majority of my work, my Atlas is just great. I've had an Atlas, I've had an Imperia, and I've had a Makins. I even had an Amico briefly. I didn't keep that one. That one was a nightmare. I personally liked the Makins. The only reason I quit using it is because the way I was cleaning it and everything, it ended up scratching the Teflon, so I ended up with little marks on my clay. So I ended up getting, I started with the Imperia. I got the Makins because it was wider. And then I went with the Atlas. It's a Mercado Atlas, and I love it. And you can get a motor. The same motor that fits on the Atlas will fit on the Makins, and the Makins motor will fit on the Atlas. So if you have one, they will fit each other. So I just, for what my type of clay work is, the Lucy clay Elephant or Mammoth just didn't work for me. But like I say, if you do a lot of clay work, I'm sure it was great. And I do believe that is all of my questions. So if you if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comments below, and I will try to answer them. I'll, stay pretty connected to my YouTube account, so I can usually tell when somebody has sent me a comment, and I'll try to answer it. But in the meantime, come back on Monday for a polymer clay tutorial for the quilt block number 3, which will remain nameless. And then come back next Friday for another Friday Frolics. So have a great day. Have a great 4th of July. That's coming up next week. Bye-bye.